In this episode, I'm having a conversation with Remi Yusuf, who is a certified events planner and also a self-taught chef and a culinary coach. And we'll be talking about how she started a catering business and how she teaches people to cook online. She will also share about why she loves helping people to learn how to cook, as well as how her faith influences how she teaches her cooking classes. Hey, if we're just meeting for the first time, my name is Niyi, and on this interview show, we'd like to share inspirational stories as well as practical tips on leadership, Christian spirituality, and living a successful life. So, whether you're watching this live right now or you're catching the replay or listening on the audio podcast, I want to thank you for joining us. And hey, would you do me a favor? And please click the like button and subscribe so you can get notifications about when we go live weekly. We do this every week. And also, leave a comment below. I would like to know where you're watching from. So, hey, if you're watching live, how about you leave me a comment below and let me know where are you watching from right now. And also, hey, check the descriptions. In the descriptions, especially if you're watching on YouTube, in the descriptions, I leave links to how you can connect with our guests, some resources, and other amazing stuff like that you can find in the descriptions below. This is going to be exciting and fun. Thank you so much once again for joining us. All right, so let me tell you about my guest. I'm excited to jump in and sit down with my guest today. So my guest is Remi Yusuf. She is a one second, excuse me. She is a passionate recipe creator. She is a cooking instructor who offers live classes, and she likes to help people learn how to cook. And one of her passions is helping people master essential cooking techniques while creating healthy and delicious meals in their own kitchen. She loves helping people build confidence by learning how to cook. She's also a certified events planner. She has a background in finance and business development, and she's currently studying in the School of Ministry here in Redding, California. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Miss Remi Yusuf? Hello, Miss Remi.
Hello. What
How are
an
you?
introduction. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, you're welcome. Absolutely. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm glad.
Awesome. Well, thanks for jumping in with me today. I'm excited about our talk. And hey, once again, if you are joining us, thank you for joining us. And that's our topic. We're talking about business ideas, how she teaches people to cook online. And remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment. Let us know where you are watching from right now. And check the links in the description for more resources and information. Awesome. So let us jump in. All right, Miss Remy. So, like I said in my introduction, you are so you start you let's kind of go all the way back to the beginning. And how about you tell us before maybe I jump in, tell us about how your journey into food started. Where did that come from?
Um, okay, I think it actually started in I'm trying to put a year to it, but I don't actually remember any. I just know
Mm,
I've always had passion to like take care of people. So I have a
mhm,
very strong hospitality anointing on my life. So it
mm,
started from there because I mean I grew up with being taken care of. We had house helps, housemaids. I didn't really need to know how to cook. So
mm,
most of my learning how to cook started from when we would come for summer abroad, and then I would want to compete with my mom and be like, "Hey, I've cooked it. I cooked it
mhm,
before you or whatever." So it really started from there, and then I've just really grown into the experience. And then at university days, I would always host my friends for no reason, just make a party for no reason, just so I can cook.
mm.
So yeah, pretty much the background.
Wow, that's awesome. I like one thing I like about that, about that story is, people come from different backgrounds. Some people learn something because, so for example, somebody who is a um, business person maybe grew up watching their parents start a business, and so
Mm,
they kind of pick it up from there because I might see
mm,
my dad and my mom doing it, so I pick it up. Maybe somebody who is a designer, maybe designs furniture or designs whatever people do. A lot of times people pick it up just because people around them are doing it. For your story, yes, it looks like your mom was definitely a great cook and she does that. You were inspired by that, but it's not necessarily because you picked it up. It became more like a I want to do this, or I see this part of me that likes to just host people and be hospitable and love people. And this is how I express my love to people by just cooking for people and helping them learn how to cook. I guess how did you I guess my question before we jump into other things is how did you take that step? So you know you like to help people, you know you like to host people. What was it like taking those first few steps of just doing that and then building it into something bigger than that? What was that like for you?
Okay, just before I answer that, I would like to add that my mom is actually a caterer, so I forgot to add
Oh,
that part.
oh, awesome. Makes
And then
sense now.
and I mix things up a lot because I actually grew up being raised by two wonderful women who
Mm,
I call both my moms. So it's
mm,
like one of them is into fashion and one of them is into catering, but I spend
mhm.
more time with the one that was into fashion. So that's why I usually forget to say, oh, hey, actually, my mom is actually a caterer, so it actually
Oh,
helps,
okay.
yeah, to that it runs kind of in the blood, hopefully. But yeah,
Mm.
to answer your question about how I did you say how I started? What were you
Yeah,
asking?
like so you found this passion of hosting people, kind of expressing you love bring people around, cooking for them
Mm,
and all
mhm,
that.
mhm,
How did you develop that passion? Like anybody can have passion for something, but
mm,
taking that first step of actually like, yeah, I love hosting people, so I'm gonna just invite people in to come hang out and then I'll cook for them and whatever. And then that kind
mm,
of starts that journey of, oh, maybe I can actually build something from this. What was it
mm,
like in initial stages when you were taking those first few steps, when it wasn't
mm,
even a business, it was just a
mhm.
passion? What was that like for you?
It's so delighting to answer that because
Mhm,
I think it's just comes from love. I have
mhm,
so much love for people. I'm a people person. I'm not as extroverted as people think I am, but then
mhm,
I just have something where like I just love to people to be happy, to be comfortable. I have this servant heart spirit. It's actually crazy. So that brings the thoughts to your head. Like you're very thoughtful. You're
mm,
like, oh hey, like people don't really, I schooled in England, so it's like, oh yeah, my friends don't eat Nigerian food all the time. Okay, I'll just have a party and they'll come. So it will
mhm,
start from there. It will start from actually using like the last the last of my allowance to
mm,
actually buy food to host people. So it will start from, I feel like if you're doing a business, if the passion, we all know you
mm,
have a business, the passion starts from when you're not even paid. I won't get
mm,
a penny from it, but then I just had this joy from like, oh hey, I want to host people. So it started from there. And then from that, like I didn't even think of even doing a business where I teach people how to cook online. I would go to people's houses and be like, hey, I can actually come and teach you for free. And
mm,
then, of course, like as you get older, it's like, okay, how am I valuing my time? Like,
mm,
what's the cost of this time that I'm spending? And it didn't come from, oh, hey, people are taking advantage of me now. I have to charge. No, it came from even like the Holy Spirit starting to minister to me about, hey, you know that you could actually do this online and take advantage of even what's going on with COVID now. So, like everybody does things virtually, you won't be the first. So
mm,
just like even create something, a platform where you could actually have your recipes together and teach people how to cook live. Because my,
mm,
my selling point is the fact that I'm actually going to be with you in your kitchen, except that I'm not there in person. But
mm,
I'm there from how you wash your rice to how you put it on fire. Even, of course, I'm not there when you clean up, but I'm there pretty much from beginning to the end. So I
mm.
think it's all wrapped into that.
That is so cool. I love that. I love that you said it's more like stewarding something. Like I want to
Mhm,
steward. I can do this for free.
mhm,
However, I need to steward my time and the resources and the
mhm,
gifts that I've been given to
mhm,
produce something. So I'm gonna
mhm,
move from just doing it for free, but just take the love I have to help people, to coach
mhm,
people, to
mhm,
be with people. This is how I express it, and I just get to be paid for doing what I love to do. That is
mhm,
so awesome. I'm gonna come back to some practical questions around going from free to charging and what that was like, that transition initially. I wanted to that can always be interesting. um but I want to ask, so I know you have a background in events planning, and
mhm,
you're actually a certified events planner. It's something you went to school, you studied um,
mhm,
that, and you also have a background in finance and doing some finance, working in finance industry and some business development.
mhm,
What made you switch over? I mean, obviously you have some there's some influence from obviously your parent and the environment you grew up in. But I'm curious to know, what made you do that switch from finance and business dev and all that into, hey, I actually want to pursue a career in event planning that actually obviously led into, even though food has been a part of your life. But I'm
Mhm.
curious to know, what was that transition from finance and business development into, hey, I'm just going to go to school to study events planning? Where did that come from?
So, like, as a regular Lagosian and even like a hustler, it's just normal to have like a side hustle. Like in
Mm-hmm.
Lagos, if you have like a full-time job and you don't have like a side hustle, it's like, hey, wait, what part of the world are you?
Are you from?
Yeah, because I was raised like I was city girl, so it's like
Mm,
city is fast, fast, fast.
mm,
So I think it started from, but then it didn't start from, hey, like actually I'm thinking of a side hustle. What can I do? I think I've
mm,
always had a business mindset from when I was young. I remember I would get like money for summer, and then I would buy things to Nigeria and sell to my aunties. I was like 12 or 15 or whatever, and then
wow.
so I've always known that business core or upon my life, but then event planning as well, just the same as feeding. Everything is part of hospitality. Like I said, I have like a strong hospitality anointing upon my life. So I
Mm,
would literally be like, hey, I think you deserve a baby shower. Let's do it. And I'll do everything. I will use my money for the things, everything from beginning to the end. Oh, you deserve a bridal shower. Let's do it. So it was, more like, so like I said, a lot can come out of love for people. So it would
mm,
come from that. And then maybe like a couple of years after uni, and then I was like, wait, people are starting to make money from event planning. Okay, like because it takes a lot of effort to help somebody at their wedding from beginning to the end. So I was
mm,
like, oh, then when I started to realize that actually this is a business, this is something that people are starting to make money from. And like I said before about stewarding time and valuing time, so I decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. So I think I did my first wedding, and then while I was working in New York, I discovered this like part-time school that you could go.
mm,
I think it was CUNY in the Heights. They were doing like an extensive event planning course, and I was like, oh wait, I'm just going to enroll and get certified. Why not?
mhm,
So I think that's where I started that, and then after that, like even the leverage to charge. But then
mm,
I've always charged based on value. So I don't think there's any of my businesses where it's like the price first. It's like me, hey, how can I reach you? How can I serve you? How can I give you so much value for your
mm,
event? And then
mhm.
my charge will be based on off of that. So
That is so good. Yeah, I like that. I like the value oriented business. I want to add value to you. How can I serve you? And here is what's going to cost for me to offer you that kind of service. Isn't that
mhm,
awesome? Hey, if
mhm.
you're watching, thanks for watching. Remember to click the like button and subscribe. That would be very helpful for us. And I'm speaking with the amazing Remi Yusuf, and she's sharing just a little bit about our journey of starting our business and where our passion came from, and just some things she's learned along the way. Awesome. Um, Right. So I wanted to ask something I've seen you mention over and over. Two things I've seen you mention over and over, which I feel like the two are kind of connected. One is hospitality anointing, and then you've talked about your love for people, and I feel like those two are connected. And it feels like your faith and your relationship with God influences the way you do what you do. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Why is that your faith plays so much role in how you teach and how you serve people and other things?
As you were trying to like put the question together, I was just thinking, Lord, should I start crying? Oh my God, don't
Oh
get me
no.
started about my faith. It's like I don't I literally am nothing without God. I know that's
Mm,
generic, everybody says that, but I literally do nothing. Like, and I'm not even joking. Even when it comes to makeup, I'm like, Lord, what are we doing today? What do you want your girl to wear? Red lipstick or nothing? You know, even just not to put it that way. So I think I've stewarded and cultivated such a nature and life with the Lord that
mm,
I don't do anything without Him. And I feel like that's the genesis of my cooking. Because
mm,
why I always forget to say that my mom is a caterer is that, I've been living with my second mom, that even more people know as my mom, since when I was like 15 or 16 or even
mm,
less. And before then, like I grew up and we had house helps and whatever. So I don't remember my mom actually saying, "Hey, come to the kitchen, come and help me," or come and, you know what I mean? So it was more
Mm-hmm.
like the Lord going like, "Hey," I remember the first time I made, there's a Nigerian like swallow called amala.
Mm-hmm.
So we came for school when we were in London, I think. I think I was like 10 or 11, and my grandpa was there. And then
Mm-hmm.
my mom wasn't home and he wanted amala. I'd never made amala in my entire life. So I
Mm-hmm.
obviously tried to remember what my mom did. Anyway, I'm sharing this story because I made like five. I every time I make it, and it just doesn't look like what my mom showed me or what I see them. I threw it in the bin. He kept on saying,
Wow.
"Where is this food coming?" I was just like, "I'm coming, I'm coming." So I used like five different pots. I made like
Wow.
five until I got the right one. So it was more like, oh my God, like I want to learn. God, what do I do? God, what do I do? So it's been like a learning curve with the Holy Spirit and just inviting him to my kitchen. And like, Lord. So basically the kind of talent I have with cooking, all I need is the all I have ever needed is the ingredients. I just need to know what goes in. That's it. I
Mm,
never ever go through any recipe and go like, hey, do this step, that step. No, just show me what I need to put. And then people from like, if it's like, like an American food or something English or whatever, they eat it and they're like, oh my God, this tastes so good. I'm like, well, it's the Lord because
mm,
no one taught me. So it's just like even still in that relationship, knowing that God is in everything. God is in how I cook, how I reason, how I relate with people. And I mean, and you start to know your love for God when you can see it in the way you love people, right? So
mm.
it's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is so awesome. I
Mhm,
love that. And yeah, so inspiring. And I mean, I'm thinking through one question I have just as I'm thinking as you're speaking about that, which that is so beautiful,
mhm,
is for people who are kind of very practical. We have people that are like the way they think is they think very practically and they're wondering, oh yeah, okay, whatever. But what's the connection between God and cooking techniques or um, the ability to actually do what you do well. So I'm thinking about someone who's practical like that. Like, hey, is it not just best to have the skill to actually develop the skill so that you can do a great job and whatever? So, what do you say to people like that who are like wondering, isn't skill more important than saying, "Oh, I bring God into what I do"? What do you think? What are your thoughts about that?
I think with anything is the result, right? It's the result that counts. So, for example, you learn a skill practically, and then we both make a meal. And I,
Mm,
I didn't I didn't actually learn an official skill. And we both make it, and we have judges, and they try both, and they think this is better or that's better, or they think it's the same. So at the
mm,
end of the day, like, the end justifies the means, right? So
mm,
for me, it's like, okay, yes, skill, of course. Like, I want to be influenceable, I want to learn. That's
mhm,
why I went to school of event planning, which has a lot of other things under that.
mhm,
But then there's just only a place that education will take you to. Like
mm,
even in today's world, for example, when I was working with HSBC and I was just a graduate trainee, trying to grow a career in investment banking, for
mhm,
example.
mhm,
I had studied economics at uni, but I had people there that had studied what, like, music.
mm,
So at the end of the day, it's like, but then they are growing and now they're probably vice presidents now. So it just, this is what you learned, but then how are you cultivating that skill and trying to
mm,
be better at it, even build your own platform out of what you've learned, what somebody else
mm,
put together. So
mm,
for me, it just comes from that. Like, I definitely believe in like practical skills, which, like I said, I in every single thing I do, I've acquired, no matter how little, even the most basic official knowledge. But what makes me jump out of the crowd, or what makes I feel like anything I do stand out, is the fact that I personally do everything with the Lord, because like he's the founder of all things. So if like
mm.
he knows all things, I might as well just ask so that I don't have to do try and error
That's
somewhere
so
else.
good. Yep. That's so good. I love that. It's like it's just best to be true to yourself, right?
Mhm.
I you've done the work of learning. You went to study. You got the techniques. I mean, you grew up around your mom that was also a caterer, so you kind of picked up things from that environment. It looks like you grew up in a very entrepreneurial environment also. So there was always
Mhm.
that business mindset around you
Mhm.
anyway.
Mhm.
And then you know that your faith is very important to you, your connection, your relationship with God is important to you, so you bring that into it, and that's kind of like the added extra that just makes everything even more better. So I think that's a beautiful story. Awesome. Somebody asked a question in the comments that I wanted to. Hey, by the way, if you're just joining us, thank you for joining us. I'm having a conversation with the amazing Remi Yusuf, and we're talking about how she teaches people to cook online, and also just some things she's learned from starting our own food and catering business. So, hey, leave a comment. Let me know what you're watching from, and also if you have any questions, feel free to post your questions in the comments below, and we'll try to take questions while we're live. And somebody asked a question that I thought was um fun question. It was Kemi. Kemi asked, "What's your favorite dish to cook? What do you like to cook usually?" That's probably a tough question because you probably have more than one favorite.
It's like, okay. First of all, like when people ask me, what's your favorite food? I actually have none because it's like, um, I'm trying to put it in a very concise way. You know,
Mm,
when you have like creativity hangover, if there's
mm,
anything like that, it's like every single time there's
mm,
something on my head. I
mm,
literally don't know how to make the same. Obviously, now I'm trying to run like a culinary school, so I would write the recipes down because I have to translate that to other people. But then before then, I could never make the same thing twice because I am just so restless in my creativity that I'm like, okay, this time we could actually make this flavor. Oh, we can make that flavor. We could make so. I've made so many dishes that it's so hard to pick one that is my favorite thing to make. But I think that um oh, I actually have no answer to that question. I'm so sorry. I don't have a favorite dish to make because everything I make with so much joy and so much passion, and I'm
yeah.
so creative with them. So it's so hard to pick something. But I do
Mm.
like baking, so
Oh, you do
maybe
like
that's something. Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Well, I've had the opportunity to try some of Remi's cooking, and Remi's meat pie is really like
Thank you.
my wife loves Remi's meat pie. My wife is a big customer and supporter of Remi's meat pie. So hey, you should try it if you want to. So I think I agree with that baking. I've tried other things, but the meat pie definitely stands out for me. So I do. Oh yeah, she makes really good bread too. If you're from Nigeria, you know what agege bread. Remi does really amazing agege bread. Just so you know. Um, Okay, so that's a good question. I wanted to let's talk about a little bit about. Let me just pull up the screen quickly, and I wanted to show people just some of the classes you've done before. Some of them are recurring classes, some you've done in the past. So there's this one about bread baking class. How do you pronounce this?
So BB Ray.
Bibire. Is that Yoruba?
Yeah, that's Yoruba.
Oh, I thought it was like French.
No, it's not. And the secret is that I actually don't even know what it means, but I know that it's a Yoruba name that means something deep. That's actually
Bibire. That's like Ire in Yoruba is
yeah.
like what's Ire again? I know what it is, but I'm trying to find the
Yeah,
right.
I do too. I just don't know how to express it. But
Basically, it's I think BBA is talking about someone who comes from an heritage, from a heritage of wealth or an
mm,
honorable heritage. It's talking about someone's heritage, where you come
mm,
from, and the
wow,
value
it's good.
of that. So my wife is gonna laugh at me because she always says that I'm always trying to be somebody who knows you about well, even though I mean, anyway, let's not talk about that in public. Private chat.
Oh my God.
So I
Yeah.
see you've done different things. There's
Mm.
the bread, deep fried dough. There's zobo, which is an hibiscus or hibiscus flower drink. Meat pie, which meat pie is one of my favorite things when it's made. And jollof rice, definitely. Um, burger with jollof burger with. Now that is unique. I haven't tried that, but that's curious. A
Mhm.
foriro, which is yes, a foriro is a typical Yoruba food, and so different things like that. So tell me about your live classes. How do you do them? What does that look like? What's the typical process?
First of all, I need to update this because this looks now like just fully Nigerian food. I do a lot more, just
Mm,
putting that out
yeah,
there.
she
But
does a
then,
lot more than
um,
Nigerian food. Just so you
yeah,
guys
I do a
know.
lot more. So my live classes for now are on Zoom. I'm trying to work on a platform that's central to me. But right now they've been working so far on Zoom. I would send you the ingredients beforehand. So you register for class, then I
Mm,
send you the ingredients beforehand, like things you need to buy, including the pot size you need for,
mm,
things that you've bought, everything. And
mm.
then even just like, send you reminders to get ready.
Nice.
And then when we start, I just teach you from start to finish what you're doing. Sometimes I would cook with you, like in my kitchen as well. But there are
Oh,
some
wow.
some of the meals over time I've realized that it's actually so much quicker if I just stay as a coach, because that's what I am. It's called the Culinary Coach. So I'm
Mm,
actually just coaching you on what to do. So on most of it, I already have everything prepared, and then I can share my screen when I need to on what I mean. If you're not turning your spoon right, or even like you know um doing something right, really. So I'm just there to literally watch what you're doing from start to finish.
mm.
I host parties as well. So if you were doing like a party with your friends, like online, 10 people, I try to do 10 people max, so I can give everyone attention. And then I would tell you guys what to do, try to make it fun. I'm an event planner, so it's so easy to make anything into like an event.
Mm,
And then this will be everybody in different houses, of course.
mm.
Just having like a virtual party with your friends. Then I actually am diving into hosting date nights. So
Oh,
like
wow.
you're having a date night and you guys can't meet physically, then I could actually be your coach and just tell you guys what. Obviously, I would have sent you ingredients beforehand, and then you and your dates would be cooking online together. And then the good thing about this is that at the end of the class, you actually end up with a meal. Unlike classes where you just go there to look, like I don't I don't have to even have anything on my table, but at the end of my class, you have to have your food in front of you, because that's
Mm.
why I'm coaching you in your own kitchen. So
So
there's
good.
no reason why you shouldn't be cooking. So
That is so cool. I love that.
mhm,
And I mean, in one of our conversations, one thing you said that I actually wrote it down was that you help people build confidence in their kitchen. And I feel like that's a really powerful statement. Because sometimes people, especially people who have no background in cooking. Now, I'm not a great cook. I am a decent cook. There's some things I can cook. If you give me a recipe, I will do a good job. My wife is like spontaneous. She just gets in the kitchen, puts stuff together, and it's like, oh my God, how did you do this? Like in 15 minutes, my wife can come up with, she can feed 1,000 people in 15 minutes. And in
mhm,
15 minutes, I'm kind of thinking, "Oh, okay, so what should I do?"
yeah,
That's just me being personal.
mm,
But I love that line, helping people build confidence in their kitchen, because I
mm,
feel like sometimes it can be intimidating for people who maybe never really had a cooking background or are just intimidated by the thought of where to start from.
mm,
Just having you as a coach, helping them, like, hey, I will send you everything you need before and so that you are prepared, and then I will kind of be there and kind of teach you step by step. And when you do it yourself, suddenly you have confidence of, oh, I can actually try this, and maybe I can try something else. I love that. I had another question I wanted to ask, but Kemi had asked a really good question that I was like, oh, I like this. So Kemi's question is that she loves your authenticity angle, but she wants to know, how do you add your personal authenticity or some Africanness to your international cuisine? Since I mean, you do like to cook different things, different from different parts of the world. But how do you add your own touch as an African or Nigerian to all the things that you do?
mm. Oh, I love that question. Thank you, Kemi. So I think let me see what's authentic about cooking as an African. I mean, one of the things that we say as African people is that we don't know what measuring spoons are and we don't know what measuring cups are. I actually
Okay.
even grew up with them literally. So we cook literally like, hey, yesterday I was thinking about it that it's just surprising how like in Africa we've made like a regular woman would have made like 1,000 dishes and she never measured the salt and it was
Mm,
right.
mm-hmm,
He was actually right. I'm like,
mm-hmm,
yo, like we have some skills. So I think even in that, even just of course it's difficult to say with my because this is a professional business, so I can't apply that into that because I have to have like measurements because people are trying things out. But what
mm-hmm,
I try to do is when I cook by myself personally, I explore those kind of authenticity. Like if I was making like one time I made this Cajun pasta and I think
Mm,
it was jambalaya, and it was really nice. And I saw like the regular international way of cooking it. I don't even know what country the dish is from, but I'm like, hey, I'm going to make this my own way by actually blending the pepper, because Africans, like, you can barely cook anything without actually blending your um red bell pepper with your onion, just blending it in the blender. Like, why am I using canned tomato for what? When I could just make mine fresh. So it's just even just adding the freshness and making things fresh from scratch, the way
mm,
I would do a normal African dish, but even if I'm actually not doing something African, you know what I mean? So just put that whole everything from scratch into any kind of dish I'm making.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's actually really good. I think something else that we, at least I can speak for Nigerians because I haven't tasted all of African dishes.
Mhm.
I think something else that we, one, I do agree with the measurement thing. My wife doesn't really measure, but it always comes out. I have to measure everything. Like, my measurement, 1 teaspoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife is like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Babe, I can't cook like you are the expert. I'm the learner." So, but I mean, I've never seen my mom measure anything. All the years I grew up with my mom, I never saw my mom measure. She just boom, 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 and it turns out great. I think it's kind of like just inborn. You
Mm,
just, it's just that instinct that you
mhm,
just grew up with.
mhm,
Maybe because you grew up watching your parents
mhm,
cook in the kitchen,
mhm,
especially for it's typical for the girl to be in the kitchen when her mom is cooking
mhm,
because they're just while she's cooking they're just chatting, they're just
mhm,
catching up chatting, and so she's kind of watching, and the mom is showing her, oh, I did this, by the way, I did this, and so you kind of just pick it up from when you're young.
mhm,
um that's awesome. Anyway, this is me talking like I'm an expert, which I don't know
mhm.
what I'm talking about.
Sure you are. I'm sure you are. Take a class.
I
You
should
build
take
the
a class,
confidence.
right?
Yes,
I
do
should
it.
sign up. I should sign up for
You
Remi's
should. You
cooking coaching
should.
class so I can develop my
Yeah.
confidence in the
And
kitchen.
I mean, what I
Awesome.
was going to add was it's very hard to. I don't. I think one of the other things that make any of my classes unique is the fact that I actually share tips that and mistakes. So
Mm,
basically, yes, we don't measure, but of course, it goes wrong sometimes. Oh my
mm,
God, I've
mhm,
definitely made salty jollof rice before. Like,
mm,
maybe one out of 500 times, but it
mhm,
does happen. And
mhm,
sometimes it will happen at the wrong time.
mm,
Literally, it would happen at the time where you're like, oh my God, there's somebody here that I want to try this food and nothing must go wrong. And then
mm,
boom, you try it. And it's like, even there was a time I made egusi and I put all the ingredients in the universe in it. So it was meant to be very nice. But
mm.
then it was just a bad day. I forgot that I had already added my seasoning before. So I added it again.
Oh
And then it
wow.
was a well of salt. So these things happen. But of
Mm,
course, I think that's what comes with experience as well. It
mm,
comes with like how long you've been in the kitchen, how long what do you do? So basically, I think one of the things that I do in my classes is okay, it will happen when you oversalt something. This is what you
mm,
do. So
mhm.
you're adding, so you're
Nice.
making stew and you oversalt. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Take fresh, tomatoes, canned, whatever, blend more pepper, boil it and add it and let it cook again. And then
Mm,
you will get the consistency you want. So there's definitely mistakes, but I think the experience comes from what do you do when you make those mistakes.
I love that. That's so good. Yeah. Um, One practical question: how do you deal with clients, especially maybe when you have like clients are just maybe not nice or stubborn or demanding? But how do you navigate that? Because obviously you love to serve people. It's a big part of your heart to serve and love people through what you do. But whether you like it or not, you're going to come across clients that might just be mean or just unpleasable or just whatever. Stuff happens. How do you navigate that in your business?
Um, yeah, well, I mean, the good thing is that my business is online. So first of
Mm,
all, I'm not necessarily there.
mm,
Of course, here in Reading, I do to go packs. People started to demand for like to go packs and like, you cook, so you might as well just also have them apart from cooking online, just have food ready.
mm,
So over the weekend, sometimes I have like ready food.
mm,
I'm in a place where people are very honoring. So it's very hard to tell that people will complain or, I'm always like, hey, please give me feedback. Like, let me know if anything, I'll make adjustments. But so far, I haven't had any difficult clients in this environment. But
mm,
on the con side, when I used to be an event planner, it was a very different story,
mm,
especially when you're planning a wedding. and there's this amazing mother-in-law or even the mother on any of the sides, it's like a whole different ball game. Literally, you could literally have everything planned, and a day before the wedding, they go like, actually scrap it all. I don't want this. I don't want that.
Wow.
I don't want that. And it's taking like 3 months of work just going away. So it's like I said before, if the foundation of everything I do really is the Lord, I think it's also just letting Him meet me there, and like even
Mm-hmm.
how to address people,
Mm-hmm.
how to even sometimes be firm but still keep my honor up, my honor up,
Mm-hmm.
like keep my like even how I pass my message across in a way that is still bringing respect to both of us. So even all of that, still letting the Lord lead me in that. So
That's good. I like that. Thank you for sharing that, Remy. One more question I was going to ask you is now cooking, teaching people to cook online and teaching people to cook face to face. It's kind of like two different, same thing, but two different words and two different approaches. Um, how do you how do you try to make it personal? Because I mean, everything, most things have gone online right now, was because of 2020 and COVID. A lot of people have moved their stuff online, but maybe somebody's worry might be like, oh, it doesn't feel personal, like you're not there, you're kind of far away, I'm just hearing a voice or watching a video online. How is that personal? What are some ways, what are some things you do to kind of try to make it as personal as possible, even though you're not physically with them in the venue?
okay, so just like I said before about how I don't do more than 10 people in a group class, and
Okay.
one-on-one classes are one-on-one. And
Mm,
this is a and one-on-one classes can just get as far as you take it, in the sense that if I'm with you in your kitchen and I'm there from start to finish, I'm watching you. So like I had a class recently with um a guy that registered for, I actually love to teach men because it's just they want to get out as soon as possible, and they're very easy to please. So it's like, okay, hey, this is what you're doing, this is what you're doing, but then they'll have friends over, and
mm,
it's like five different people who want to be the coach, and I had to go back and be like, hey, like there's only one coach here, like this is what we're doing. So even just trying to even be present in the room as well, like I'm not there but just being present with what's going on there, it really helps people to feel like, oh, actually this just feels like you're here, right here. And
mm,
also even just me, because I'm giving you full attention, so I'm staring into what you're doing. Like if you're not washing the rice well, or you're not turning well, or I feel like you've overloaded the spoon of salt, I can see that because it's one-on-one. So I usually have people have two screens, one where they can actually just watch me, and one where I'm actually, people always have a laptop and a phone. So
mm.
even just their laptop being standby and then the phone moves around with them. So I'm seeing what you're actually putting in. So it goes
Wow,
very
that's so
direct.
cool.
Yeah. Mhm.
I like that. That's really awesome. Those are really, wow, those are really amazing ideas of just simple practical ways of making it feel like I'm not there with you physically, but I'm actually there and I'm watching every step that you are taking, and I'm coaching you, really literally coaching you through step by step. That's really awesome. This might be my final question, maybe, but I wanted to ask, for somebody who is thinking about, oh, well, I have an idea. Maybe it's a food business, a catering business, whatever. They want to start something. They have a passion for something they want to do, and but haven't really taken that first step to start. How do you? What are some practical tips just from your journey of putting yourself out there and starting and building something? How can somebody who's trying to start something take that first step?
That's a good question. So, I mean, I feel like the first step is to take the first step. First of all, if you don't be afraid to start from scratch,
Mm,
and it's not necessarily going to be like a journey where you start from scratch and it's like piping up,
mm,
because I feel like the biggest test of starting anything in life is actually starting and learning to start low. Like, what is it that you're passionate about that even if nobody else in the world will support you, that you will still do? I think that's a first box to check. So if you can check that box, you would be really willing to go over and beyond. Like he said, like I moved to Reading for like ministry school.
mm,
And it was really a situation of, hey, like this is glam. I
Mm,
mean, and of course, you can define glam in so many ways, whether it was long term or short term.
mm,
And are you ready to come like right into the bushes and start from the beginning, like start
mm,
from zero? So like if you can tell yourself that that dream and that passion is worth that big step, I think that's like the first step in the way. And then get like a great support system. Like in my language, oh my god, I'm not about to murder Yoruba, but I'm going to try. In my language, they say something. They say um what's that thing? Okay, you know what? Let's just skip that. But I was going to share something in Yoruba. My mom will be
see,
so
don't put yourself out there.
not so proud. But anyway, I was going to share something in Yoruba where they say that um monkey no fine in mama like am. So meaning that there's always somebody in your life that still
Mhm,
likes you no matter what you are. And it
mm,
doesn't have to be your parents, it doesn't have to be your friends, it doesn't have to be, I mean, of course it could be your friends, but it doesn't have to be your family. But just get yourself support system. Like I think for me, it was just having even one very close friend that will go if I came up today and said, hey, you know what, I want to become a pilot. I think she's obviously here on the online right now. She would be like, oh, are you sure? Okay. And that's all I need. So from beginning of my journey, from transitioning from a business development person to a pilot, she's going to be there from beginning to the end. So get yourself those people that will push any dream that you have. Of course, they'll be truthful. If it's something that wouldn't work, they will tell you, but they'll be there for you from beginning to the end. You need support system. You need to be able to tell yourself that I can beat my hand in the chest. That even if I find myself on a desert, no, all I think about is food. On a desert, I will still go after this dream. So I think those are the two primary things for me. And I think the most important part of this whole thing is hear from the Lord. Honestly, when you have a go ahead from God, that's all you need,
mm,
literally. Every other thing I just said just becomes, even if it's primary, it still just becomes secondary. Like if you feel like this is the Lord leading you, ask for confirmation, ask your leaders, ask the Lord to guide you, confirm it. That's the biggest backbone you need. And you
mm.
would climb on any mountain. So I think it's just wrap into all of that for me.
Yeah, that is so good. I love the practical tips you said. Take the first step, support system. If you're passionate about something, just go for it. I also love that you also talk about hearing from the Lord, kind of connecting with God and letting God lead and direct you as you go on that journey. And that is so awesome. I have like a few questions in the chat that I wanted to look at quickly. Um, Somebody asked a practical question. That's my cousin actually asked a really good question that I thought you could maybe you spoken to. Excuse me. You spoken to this a little bit before. Oh, by the way, Kukoi, thanks for joining in. Yes, passion matters a lot. That is so true. And she said, Remy is my sis, and I love the question you just asked her. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. So let's see. My cousin asked two questions I wanted to join together into one because I feel like they're the same thing. So he said, how do you monetize your passion? You kind of talked about that a little bit before. And then what strategies do you need to brand, establish a client network and scale up? Just from your own experience of building something and having to establish yourself as this is my brand, culinary coach, finding clients, scaling as you grow. Because I mean, they say the food business can be brutal if you don't know what you're doing, just because you're navigating prices that fluctuate, and you're trying to figure out how much do I really need to cook what I want to cook. Because if I once I give my estimate to the client, going back to them and telling them, oh, by the way, I need more money, that's kind of like a very dicey talk. I can imagine. So what kind of strategies do you put in place? Because I see you as somebody who has ideas, and you always find a way to monetize your ideas and create value for people. What are some practical things you do to brand yourself, connect with your clients, and build as you go?
Thank you for the question. Okay, so I had to share the fact that I've actually had to grow when
Mm,
it comes to like even monetizing because there's business is wide. So
mm,
there's getting your there's getting the cost back,
mhm,
which means that you started with zero, you spent 100 and now you have 100 back. There is
mhm,
making 200 and then getting the cost and then having the
mhm,
profit. So I've had to grow from doing a lot of I started from free. So it was
Mm,
like everything free, 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 free. Like the idea of money just did not sit well with me. And people that know me know that. So it was more like, okay, then I graduated to at least get in the course.
mm,
And then, I'm in a place where I think I just got into this season where, like I said, I decided to skyrocket everything I know. So
mm,
my skills, I decided to go for attention to detail into everything that I'm
mm,
doing. And I said, you know what? If I'm giving anybody 1 hour of my time, it has to I have to sit down feeling like they paid me for that time. And
mm,
paying me is not paying for what I use. That was like, I took it out of an account. It has to go back. So it's like, can I sit down and be like, okay, I've had a productive day today because I made so profit? Because that, honestly speaking, free and even just doing it on zero or not making profit, it would only get you to a point.
mm,
What actually keeps it going is that people like it, you're growing great, but then is income coming in? Is the income flowing? Because that's what will motivate me to actually jump out of my bed saying, I have
mm,
a class, I need to prepare for it. So it's just growing into that, like educate yourself. Like there's this website called Reads. I go there all the time just to see if there's a new course on business, like
mm,
costing, branding, online on thank God for like this period as well. On Instagram, there's usually one live program or another
mm,
where you can learn about how people that have been there before you, how they cost. There's so many people into food business. So like whatever business you are, go look for people that have been there, hear advice, ask questions like how do you cost, how do you brand. Of course, it's a learning curve, like he said, like with catering, it's such a learning curve. Like I've made some food sometimes that I'm like, wait, I actually did not gain anything from that. Like,
mm,
I do food shipping as well, where I would
mm,
cook like fresh food, freeze
mhm,
it, and then post it to you. And there was one that I did once that it was so exciting in the beginning, like, oh my God, somebody wants my food all the way from New York. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And then when I actually finished, I was like, wait, I actually made nothing out of this.
mm.
Because I bought so much ingredients, everything. There was nothing left. And it took so much time. I was standing for 24 hours, literally.
Wow.
I am not exaggerating. It's like from 11 to 11. And food takes a lot of time. So you have to tell yourself that what exactly would they pay me that will make me feel like I was valued, I was appreciated, and this
Mm,
is something that I can do in 20 years. But not
so,
something where that you're just getting by with. Because also food, like me, I think it was your wife I was discussing that with. I was like, babe, I decided that nobody's going to pay for my legs. God
mm,
forbid, I'm in the hospital now, having to do like a knee switch or whatever. It's going to cost a lot of money. So all of this standing, at some point, is going to start wearing out. How can I collate the money? How can I price my brand in a way that it would pay for these things? Like I was telling somebody the other day, when Gucci started, they didn't start with Primark price and then move to Gucci price. So they started
mm,
as a luxury brand. So you have to tell yourself, what is my markup? What is the markup that I want
so
that will
true.
make me feel like I'm working? If
Mm,
you want 10% markup, meaning that if you pay $100, you get $100, $110, and $10 is fine for you, no problem. If your markup is 300, meaning you spent 100 and you want 200 back, know it from the beginning because that will make you not relent. But then, of course, like I said, I have a high value for giving people value, basically. So
mm,
basically, if I want to charge you 200, I'm going to make sure that you're leaving my place feeling like you even cheated me, but I know that you did not. So
mm,
basically, if you order something that and I tell you it's 200, I will make sure I give you something that is worth 300 to you, but I know that it didn't cost me that much, but I will give you way more than you ask, but I'm still going to get paid. So it's
wow.
just knowing all these things and having your bullet points ready and have people that are pushing you. Don't have people around you that are constantly like, it's too expensive. It's too, and be stubborn with your price. Like I love Jesus and Jesus is all over me. But when I make up my mind, it's very hard to convince me. So even with your business, put that stubbornness into it. Like, hey, this is
Mm,
my business. This is my baby. So don't just switch prices every day. Have a price that you know that God, this is my dream. And of course, like every business as you grow, you can always alternate that. You can always like improve or reduce, increase, whatever you like. So
mhm.
just having those, like very vital business skills is very important.
That is so good. That is so good, Remy. So much wisdom that you just dropped. Um, the things I picked out is that one, you always want to give people value. You want to give them more than what they are paying for, actually.
Mhm, mhm,
At the same time, you also want to make sure you are getting value for the value you are giving. If I'm gonna give you everything, I'm gonna pour all of my time and energy into serving you, which I will do that, then I'm going to be paid for that service that I'm giving you because it's worth it. And I think that's probably somewhere where sometimes we kind of trip up, especially when we're building something. Sometimes you're afraid to charge for your value. Now, it doesn't mean to be greedy, because in the beginning, obviously, Remi has probably done she's done a lot of free things in the beginning. She's done free parties for friends and served people. And she got to the point where she's like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to start charging for what I'm doing. And I think that's really true. So don't be afraid to start in the beginning with giving out free. And once you are ready to like move, then just be honest with people and just tell them, hey, this is how much it's gonna cost. But I promise you that you will get value for what you are giving. All right, I'm gonna ask one more question rather before we round up. My cousin asked this question that I thought was good. How do you deal with entitlement mentality or people that kind of argue pricing, which obviously as Africans we will do that, right? Africans tend to do that, or
Mhm.
Nigerians at least. Well, it's just our culture. I mean, you tell someone it's $5, or like, are you sure it's $5? Can I pay $2? Something like that, or whatever. So, how do you deal with that with your clients? How do you navigate?
I love your questions. Okay, so I'm going to give you two answers, and one is
Mm,
going to be practical. The
mm,
practical part is that know who you're dealing with. So when I'm dealing with Nigerians, like I said, I have a book of the minimum I can go for anything.
mm,
So when I'm dealing with Nigerians, I literally just respond to, I mean, of course, with things where you have fixed pricing, just have your fixed price and obviously lovingly be like, hey, I can't go, I can do it for you less, but it will be less. Like, I'm not going to give you the same size for that price because other people are paying this price for it. But one thing I do in other things that I do where it's not fixed pricing, when I'm dealing with Nigerians, I just pump the price already. So
mm,
this is how I go. I go like, hey, this is $150, but I can give you for 120. So already I'm telling you that I'm giving you a discount.
mm,
So you would really, really be like, you're not gonna be like, hey, give me more discount because I've already honored you. But then that's not my actual price is 120. But
mm,
then I'm like, hey, it's actually 150. Well, I sell this for 150, but because of you or because I like you, I'll give it to you for 120. I'm not losing a dime. And then you know what I mean. So you're still getting the same value for that, but it's just
mm,
so even just using that kind of wisdom and just knowing how to manage people, deal with people. If I'm also honest, this is not to just say talk about the Lord in every single thing, but that's really the core of it. There are some things where like the Lord I just ask the Holy Spirit, God, how much should I say? He tells me a price, and almost 90% of when I ask him, people go like, oh my God, that's the perfect price I had in mind. That's the
wow.
exact price I had in mind. It has not failed for me. The few 10% is when I just talk from my head, and then they're like, it's too much, it's not much, just all of that, which is regular. Even me, like when I went to Italy, on the street, you price things. It's normal. People want to get the best value. So,
Mm,
like I said, you have your price in your mind that you want,
mm,
and then know that you're not going down from it. But the other side that I said I wanted to share was you need to know your value. And I
mm,
don't mean, and I'm not saying this lightly, I'm saying this in terms of internally. So I had to get to a place to realize that I am actually worth this amount.
mm,
So if I want to charge you $500, do I believe that I'm worth that $500? Trust me, this sounds really easy, but it's actually really deep. I had to realize that, Remy, you're worth, you do a lot of work and you're worth this $500. So that's why now it helps when I'm telling you that, sorry, I can't take less than that. I actually know that I'm not worth less than that. So if
mm,
you don't know it, and if you're also like, hey, let me just do it because they might go somewhere else, you need to know that what you're giving is actually worth that price that you're charging. Then
mm.
you'll be so much more secure in charging that
Yeah.
you won't jump around prices or discounts like before as well. Like I would send you a price, and if you don't respond immediately, I will send you immediately a discount. But now I know my worth and I know how much time and effort I've put into these things. If you don't respond, I just assume normal things like you're busy or whatever, as opposed to even just that insecurity. So it's just dealing with that internally as well, just knowing
Mm.
that you are worth this price. And then that would really help.
That is so cool. My cousin said he's gonna give you a cafe concerto cake
Thank you.
because you drove. Oh, thanks, cuz you're funny, man. Uh, wow, those are really. I like this. He said he laughed at the when you said Primark price. For those who are watching, maybe Primark is a store in UK
England.
that tends to sell discount at really discount prices. You know, so compared
and
to most
and
of them.
and discount quality.
High quality. So you don't walk into a Primark store expecting to buy something of high quality.
Yeah.
It's okay quality, it might last for some time, but it's not it's like really cheap. That's what she meant by. And Amma says, I agree. People expect you to bend and give them the price they want. And she wants the Harrods standard, which I was one of the most expensive places in the UK. This has been so much fun. I mean, I could go and I have other questions I want to ask, but I'm going to stop myself because I'm having too much fun and I don't want to go beyond an hour. But I mean, if you really value everything Remy has shared, please click the like button, and also subscribe. We have conversations like this every week, and yeah, it's been so much fun. I want to thank everybody who joined us live to watch this. This has been such an awesome conversation. Oh, by the way, you should please check Remy out. The links are in the description below, but you should check out Remy's I'm trying to pull up on the screen quickly. Find Remy on Instagram, the Culinary Coach. She has other places where you can find her, but this is the easiest one right now. Culinary Coach. Sign up on Express. Send her a DM if you would like to sign up for a coaching session to learn to build confidence in your cooking in the kitchen. And she also does other things like she's really into the food business and also event planning. So if you have something you really like us to prepare for you, send her a DM.
And I'm a prophet as well, so you can just message me to give you a word. I would definitely do that.
Yep.
I'm
And she
just
loves
kidding.
and she loves to minister to people. So if you like the ministry from
I'm just joking, please.
yeah, she's such an entrepreneur. Remy is one of the most hardworking people I know. We both live in Reading, so I kind of know Remy a little bit. But she's always working on, always cooking for somebody, always doing something. I don't think I've ever called or spoken to Remy or chat with Remy, and Remy is not doing something. She's very hardworking. So
Thank
yeah, so
you.
connect with her if you want her services. And thank you, Remy, for this. This has been so much fun. Thank you for everybody who joined us live. Kukoyi, Ama, Kemi, cousin. Thank you for joining us. Ada. I'm just looking through the chat quickly to see that I didn't miss any names. Iola, thanks for jumping in today. Kemi, thanks for jumping in. Everyone who's watching live, everybody's gonna watch the replay. We appreciate you, and we will see you in our next video. Peace.